Okay, peeps, welcome back. So, can the price of Tesla and Tesla go higher? Let's get it. So, it has been a while since we've talked about Tesla and Tesla on this channel, so we wanted to give you guys an update on the most popular yield max ETF and the underline, as you guys can see here. So, the chart looks a little jumbled here, but if we zoom out, you guys will be able to gain a better perspective of what we're looking at. This is the macro support trend line here, the macro resistance trend line. You can see that the price is kind of converging on itself. It's starting to coil up, which means that we could have a big break either way. Do I think it's going to get to the absolute, like, well, I mean, it would really take a long time to get there, but do I think it's going to get to the absolute pinnacle of this support and resistance trend lines? No, I do not, because this thing is all the way out in 2025. As you guys can see, that's a long time from now. I don't think it's going to take that long for it to make a move, but some important things to note here is that we are more or less kind of holding this channel trend line, as you guys can see here, so that's a good sign. Very bullish wick here. If we take a closer look at this, you guys can see that there is buy demand here, so that indicates that buyers are not willing to allow the price to go below this candle or below the bottom of the support range for that matter. So actually I could probably get rid of this trend line since we did actually have a breakdown out of it, so it looks a little bit cleaner. So with that being said, we are still kind of more or less above this support zone. There was a candle close down here. Obviously, that's not very good, but as you guys can see, the bottom of the wick here is roughly around the same area as that body candle down there. So let's actually move this down a little bit to where the wick is. So now it looks a little bit more crystalline. Basically, if this thing was going to be like a for sure sell-off, what I would want to see first is a body close below the candle wicks, previous wicks, which we did in fact get. But I would also want to see then after that a body candle close below the bottom of the wick. Basically, the body candle close has to be lower than the bottom of the wick, and we have not seen that yet. To confirm full-on bearishness, so that's a good sign for the bulls. So the EMAs have converged down. That is overall bearish. Basically, what we're looking for is for it to hold into this channel and move up. The top of the channel, as you guys can see here, well above the support zone, is at $247 a share, and the top of this overall support zone is roughly around $220, whereas the bottom where we currently sit is roughly about $180 a share. So when you look at the weekly time frame, there's not really much to see here. You guys can see the MACD's kind of moving down. RSI is not really doing much, just kind of bobbing around. We're kind of moving around in this channel. Not really much to report on the weekly. However, if we go down to the daily time frame, and we have pointed this out to you guys before, so you can see the channel is much clearer on the daily time frame. It's pretty clear that we are respecting the bottom trend line here, so that's good. If we move back up to the top of the channel, that's all the way up at roughly around the 240, 250 area. Ideally, we want to see a break of the channel to the upside, so I would say probably a confirmed close above the channel and at least get a candle close above 265. If we get that, then I would say that's pretty good for starters. So something that we pointed out before, if you guys take a look at the RSI here, the RSI, every time, well, actually, we got to zoom in a little bit. So every time this thing's been oversold, we've had a massive move up. So you guys can see it was oversold back here on January 26th. That was not that long ago. That's just a couple of weeks. And we're only going to look at the major oversold points, okay? So when there's a shade of red, that's where we're going to look at. So December of 2022, that was the last time this thing was oversold to that level. What did we get after that? Well, we got a massive move basically from the bottom to the top, roughly about 100%. So the price of Tesla nearly doubled during that time frame. If we zoom out a little bit further, and go further back here, see if I can find the last time that it was massively overbought. You know what? Let's do this instead. It's kind of a little hard to see. So we have this point here that we just had. We got this point in December of 2022. So the last time we were this oversold was roughly around June 2019. So let's zoom out, go all the way to June 2019. Actually, we're not going to use June 2019. We'll use the pandemic low. That I'd say that's a pretty good starting point. So from the pandemic low, which you guys can see is about $23 a share. Crazy to think that Tesla was ever that cheap. To the local swing high above it was 400%. Okay. So you would have nearly 5 extra money just on that move alone. But the overall move, and this is what you guys need to pay attention to, until we basically had another major sell-off, was all the way up here at about 1,000%. Okay. So we had one oversold RSI here. And then you guys can see down here, the MACD did have a golden cross. And what did we do? We went up massively. So we'll go now to the 2022 lows. As you guys can see, we have that shade of red down there. And then we got obviously the golden cross on the RSI off of being oversold. And from that point, we went from the bottom to the top about 112%. And keep in mind, roughly around that same time frame, we did get a golden cross on the MACD. So why am I pointing all this out? Well, there seems to be some major confluence between the pandemic dump, the bottom of the bear market in 2022, and what we currently see right now. You guys can see that the RSI hit the oversold territory. If we zoom in here a little bit, once again, you guys can see that it had this shade of red, okay? And we did have a golden cross on the RSI, so that has played out. And we're about to get a golden cross on the MACD. This is all on the daily time frame. So there's a potential, if history is to remain true, that we could go from where we are currently to, honestly, who knows where. I mean, if we go up to resistance, that's a 56 to 67% gain. The next resistance level, 105 to 120% gain. I would say any of that is within the realm of possibility. But just to go over this one more time, so we'll zoom out a little bit here, go way back to the pandemic lows, point it out one more time, okay? So oversold, got the golden cross on the RSI, got the golden cross on the MACD, price moved up. One more time in the bottom of the bear market, 2022, RSI was oversold, even more so than the pandemic. We had that shade of red, got the golden cross on the RSI, got the golden cross on the MACD, price moved up, and price moved up a lot, not just a little bit, okay? So from the bottom of this area, it went from $100 to the top here, the swing high, $220, but the ultimate move was all the way up there at almost $300. So you're talking roughly about a 3x move once those signals played out. And once again, right here, we're seeing the RSI went from being oversold to the RSI having a golden cross. MACD is about to have a golden cross, and price could be repeating history here and moving back up. So where do I think the price of TSLY could go in comparison to Tesla? Well, if we do a apples to apples comparison here, it's actually very, very difficult to do, if I'm being completely honest, because you guys can see that TSLY had a massive drop from 22 down to 13 bucks here. But keep in mind that the bear market low on Tesla was roughly around the same time frame that you guys can see this peak here. I find it to be quite interesting that this thing actually dumped off into the swing up in Tesla, although I guess I'm not really surprised because this is technically all still within the month of December. So basically, what happened after we had that signal is the price of Tesla went from here to up here at the highs you guys can see, and the ultimate move was up about 37%. So let's just assume that it does the exact same thing that it did before on Tesla and it moves up 37%. Let's say Tesla moves up 100% and Tesla only moves up 37%. Okay, so it only captures a third of the move. What could that do? Well, basically, that would put Tesla at roughly around the same area as this overall previous support zones. So Tesla itself could be back up at $11.50 a share. Is I mean, does it put it all the way back up at 17? No. But again, you guys have to understand that once Tesla does sell off, it generally goes up for a very long period of time, a very sustained uptrend. It's not a short move. So with that, and with Tesla having been as oversold as it is, it's possible that Tesla could have an even bigger move to the upside since Tesla's kind of just really been getting smashed a little bit too much so, if you ask me. But the bullish confluence is there on Tesla. It could be a really big move in Tesla. We'll just have to wait and see. So, with that being said, hope you all enjoyed the content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.